From the 23rd to the 26th of September 2016, it's Plymouth Arts Weekend. This is the official opening at the University of Plymouth.
The university here in Plymouth, and welcome to the launch of plans for visual art and public art, and welcome also to the launch of the Weekender. We've got Gordon here from the Weekender and various people in dashing pink here from the Weekender. And if you do need to talk to anybody about the Weekender, then do see the people dressed in pink, or Joe in green. So, to start with, my name is Dom Jinks. I'm the director of Plymouth Culture. And Plymouth Culture is an organisation that exists to help support, develop and coordinate to some extent culture across the city, working closely with the City Council. We're hosted here at the university, but we work across the city. And it's a real pleasure to be here, and it undoubtedly feels like an exciting time at the moment in Plymouth. And I think a few people, our speakers today, will talk about the exciting time and exciting times ahead as well. Just in terms of what we're going to do today, we're going to be running through a real sort of canter through a couple of plans, and you should all have these couple of plans here. So we've got the Plymouth Principles, which are really some principles for public art here in Plymouth, and a document called Go Beyond, which is a visual arts plan for Plymouth. And we will be discussing those in a little bit more detail today. And you will also have opportunities to feed in to any comments back to Plymouth Culture. So we'd be really delighted to hear from you. But we've got a few people here just talking about culture in the city, about visual arts. So first of all, we will hear from Councillor Glenn Jordan. And Glenn is the new portfolio holder for culture and sport in the city. So it's a real pleasure to have him here. We will then also hear from David Coslett. Many of you will know David Coslett. David is now the new chair of Plymouth Culture, but formerly the Dean of Humanities here and the interim Vice-Chancellor at the University of Plymouth. We will also then hear, after David, from Claire Doherty, and Claire is from Situations. Situations have been working with the city really for the past 2 years now on an approach to public art across the city. And it's a real pleasure to be working with them and have their ongoing expertise in the city. You'll also then hear a little bit more from me on the visual arts plan. And then we've got Gordon talking about the Weekender and getting us a bit fired up about what you can see and maybe a few highlights. So we will hear from Gordon. And then we'll go have a drink and then see the Douglas Gordon in Peninsular Arts. So just first of all, why develop plans? Why develop 2 plans? It just felt like a really important moment in the city. Following the development of the British Art Show, we were seeing a number of really exciting developments in the city, with new organisations cropping up sort of following the British Art Show. And such as we've got Cast here, we've got Effervescent in their place at Derry's Cross. Ocean Studios, the development of the Weekender. It just felt like a really important time within the city as we build to 2020 to define what it is we might like to do, what we can actually do together that we might not be able to do on our own. I think that's a really important message as well that will probably come out throughout this hour's session. And also to be a bit of a signal to people and thinkers within the city, but also funders that can help understand what we want to achieve. And I think the process of doing both of these documents has been really important. And hopefully it outlines a bit of an approach that we have, but also the City Council have, in that it's one of enabling. These plans aren't Plymouth Culture telling you what is going to happen and what to do. These came from a process of quite detailed consultation with the cultural sector, with the community, within Plymouth, about what is happening, what some of the challenges are, what the priorities are, what the goals might be over the next 5 years as we move forward. So it really, I think, captures the voice of the cultural sector within the city and reflects that back, but reflects that back also with a little bit of expertise from the likes of Situations, from Visual Arts South West. I think it's probably a point worth saying is Gordon also wears another hat as coordinator and manager of Visual Arts Southwest. So it just brings that degree of objectivity to what has been told through that consultation period. So you have these two companion documents, and we would be delighted to hear your thoughts on these. But again, a lot of the work has come from the sector, so thank you for your input into both of these. But before we just move on to hear from Councillor Glenn Jordan, there's one announcement, and probably most of you already know what it is, because it's a small city and the grapevine moves really quickly in this city. But many of you will know that we were part of an Ambition for Excellence bid to Arts Council England. For those of you that aren't too sure what Ambition for Excellence is as a programme, it is something that looks to achieve a step change in cultural development, often with a specific sector in mind. So the visual arts sector got together, and we played a role to help coordinate the visual arts sector in coming together. And we decided to put in an application to Arts Council England, who were pretty welcoming about a bid. But we heard on Monday that we were successful in that bid. So the city has now £635,000 over the next 2 years for visual arts development. And crucially, that money is for some specific elements. It is for a series of events and a sort of culmination of a festival, and those events include 2 more Plymouth Weekenders, which is great, so that will be funded for the next 2 years. It will also include a multi-site exhibition across the city, so that develops on the work of the Plymouth Arts, the Plymouth Visual Arts Programming Group that brought us the likes of Walk On, Synopticon. But it will bring us a multi-site exhibition in 2017. And then in 2018 we will have a festival which is being called the Atlantic Festival, which is a festival of visual public art but in the public realm. So it is going specifically out into the public realm of the city. But built into these... Built into these events is a really serious programme of community development, where we work with communities on a model of community commissioning, so that we are working with and through communities rather than doing to. And I think that's a fundamental part of the Horizon project. It's being called Horizon. But also built into this is a serious programme led by Visual Arts Plymouth, VAP, as many of you know, of artist development as well. And so that in a way this is even though it has a number of nodes, it is one big programme. And it's just tremendously exciting that we've got news of this. And it seems as if it's perfectly well timed now with the Weekender and the launch of these plans, because with plans a lot of people say, well, how are you going to deliver these and how are you going to finance them? Well, this is one way we think we've got some serious finance to actually deliver these plans and really build the momentum as we build to 2020, which I think will be a really important year. And I think at the heart of these plans is a real drive for quality, a real drive for the development with communities, and to see how we can hang on and develop talent within our city. And I'll come on to this a little bit later. But this is really important for the city, and it's quite apt now that I'm going to introduce Glenn Jordan, because I think without the City Council involvement, this situation and the programme of Ambition for Excellence, our Horizon project, it wouldn't have been possible. Plymouth Culture, again, probably wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the City Council. So again, I would like to say a huge thank you to the City Council and their ongoing support. We see local authorities slashing culture budgets across the UK, again, because of very difficult times. But I would like to pay a bit of a tribute to the City Council for really understanding the importance of culture and creativity, and understanding in how that can really drive the city forward. So I'd like to introduce Glenn Jordan.
8 years when we launched the Vital Spark, and I was very proud that I did that. And I think what we're seeing today actually justifies the what some people thought I was mad in doing, of actually launching the Vital Spark and how it's growing into Plymouth culture. But as I said, I'm delighted to be here today to the launch of these two exciting and aspirational plans, both of which will shape the development of the visual and public arts in the city for the next 5 years. Plymouth City Council is committed to supporting the development of Plymouth's rich and diverse arts and cultural sector, and the delivery of the arts and visual arts plans, I'm going to say putting those both together is a bit of a tongue twister in itself, is an essential part of that ambition for the city. The plans have been commissioned by Plymouth Culture and Plymouth City Council and developed in collaboration with the city's arts community. We have worked with award-winning producers Situation of the art, on the public arts plan and the Plymouth Principles, a guide to support and capitalise on the public art development in the city. It is great to see Claire Doherty, the artist director of Situations, here today. Go Beyond, a visual arts plan for Plymouth, is a joint project between the Visual Arts Southwest, Plymouth Arts Organisations and practitioner Peter Jones and Plymouth Culture, and I know Dom will be saying a bit more about this shortly. I think this is a really exciting time to be part of such a thriving arts and cultural sector within the city. And like Dom said, I think arts is one of the main drivers that this city has got. We have had some fantastic artists in the past, and we've got some fantastic projects and people who are delivering today, and we need to help and support them in the best way that we can. There's a strong collaboration approach being taken to develop and deliver on our aspirations and ambitions. It's delivering some really exciting results, and Plymouth City Council is very pleased and very proud to be a part of that. And I've actually been around to see some of the projects and some of the artists and their studios since May, since taking over post, and I've been blown away and impressed with the work that's going on in the city and those who are dedicated to drive this forward. So I'll hand you back to Dom now, but would like to congratulate everyone who has worked so hard to get the city to this point. So many people are involved, from a grassroots community level right up to Plymouth's largest organisations. I'd also like to congratulate and wish everyone involved this year's Plymouth Arts Weekend all the best for what I'm sure is going to be another highly successful weekend. And I'd say actually, you probably started last night, because there was a number of events last night and I couldn't even get round to, I don't think I got round to about half of them. And I hope everybody's going to enjoy what we've got to offer in the city over the weekend. I'm going to hand back to Dom. Thank you.
Just about not being able to get to see things now because there's so much going on in the city, and I think that's when you start to realise that there is a buzz, rather than a few ad hoc, very good things. So I think there really is that sense of so much beginning to happen within the city. It's a great pleasure now just to introduce our next speaker. He's the new chair of Plymouth Culture, David Coslett, but many of you will know David in his role when he was here at the university as Dean of Humanities and Interim Vice Chancellor. So, David.
Thank you, Dom. I'm really delighted to be here as new chair of Plymouth Culture. In fact, we have our first board meeting on Tuesday, so that's probably officially when I start work. And I've been reflecting on the 10 years since I moved to Plymouth, 2006. When as Dean of Arts and Humanities, the new Dean of Arts and Humanities for the university, moving into this very building, in fact, and next door, over 3,500 undergraduates and postgraduates in art, design, architecture, a whole range of creative disciplines, theatre and performance. And I guess the first few years I was concentrating on just that, settling us into Plymouth, tentatively trying to unpick the complex cultural weave of the city and trying to figure out exactly how we fitted into that. And a couple of years after that, 2 or 3 years after that, I had a visit from a couple of people saying that the Plymouth Visual Arts Consortium, I don't know how many of you remember that, Judith and I were talking about it earlier on, were not in a spot of bother, but the chair was moving on, and they needed a new chair, and would I come in and kind of assist and help in whatever way I could in that role, and I did. And we're between friends here, aren't we? What I found, actually, was a collection of individuals so enthusiastic about their own organisation, so determined to kind of progress and move forward and develop their own agenda, that actually we, and perhaps I include myself in this on behalf of the university, had lost sight of the bigger picture. In fact, there was more to be gained through collaborating and seeing what we might be doing together than actually pursuing and laying down, well, this is what we're going to do, and this is what we want to do, etc., etc. And discussion moved to the British Art Show that had never before come to Plymouth, I think never further west than Bristol. And a few of us thought, well, why not? We can do this if we collaborate. The strength and vitality that is already in the city, we can convince the Hayward and others that actually Plymouth, even without the square footage of gallery space that the British Art Show required, we can pull this off. We haven't got enough gallery space, we'll build one. And that's exactly what we did. By that slow, sometimes painful, Judith will remember, Nicola, Andrew, Ray, people in this room will remember, 1 month depressed and down, we can't pull this together. The next month, yes, we can do it. It took a very, very long time, it took persistence, it took determination, but most of all, as I said, it took that gradual coming together of institutions, individuals, organisations to say, we are stronger together than we are separately. And what was the result? At the time, the best British art show ever, according to The Guardian. 435,000 visitors across 4 cities, culminating in Plymouth. I mean, we were walking tall those 3 months that the show was here. Absolutely. And even afterwards, I was on holiday in Greece the summer afterwards, or maybe in the summer after that. Just happened to be talking to someone in a bar, and he knew I was from Plymouth and said, I made it down to Plymouth to see Christian Marclay's The Clock because I missed it everywhere else. What a great place. So that achievement is actually spreading out throughout the country, and I think across the world, in terms of what Plymouth achieved with the British Art Show. I'd go further. I think the confidence that we instilled in some of our funders, who may have been a bit nervous about some of the great things that were going on in Plymouth and the great collaborations too, but maybe Plymouth hadn't quite got its act together. Maybe there was a slight nervousness in some of those funding bodies and organisations. And I think after that, we began to secure a much more confident relationship with them. And I think we can trace the success that we're now having with the funding of the History Centre back to those days when Plymouth decided we need to work together to forward the arts agenda on behalf of the city. And that's the achievement, giving others confidence that we can do it. And sometimes closing the door and hammering things out when we feel, there are slightly different tensions or agendas. There will be in any thriving city, in any thriving organisation that is ambitious for its future. It will want to move forward and do the next thing, but actually keeping each other in the picture, keeping each other informed. The way we can schedule much more smartly, so that it's an integrated offer, where there will still be people like Glenn running around because there's so much on offer on one single night that he's spoilt for choice. But actually that smart, forward thinking on behalf of the city, I think we can still do better. We can still do more in that area, but we've come an awful long way, and we should be proud of the distance we've travelled. It is down to the people in this room. I think, wouldn't I, that Plymouth culture has played a role in trying to bring people together. But unless those organisations, those individuals are willing and ready to trust, then an organisation like Plymouth Culture can't do its work. I think Dom particularly, and I will pay tribute to the work that Dom has done over the last few years. I hope Dom has managed to convey that message to you as individuals and organisations that we are here to help, assist, advise. We won't always say what you want to hear maybe, but actually we'll give you that honest advice, that honest support, and we will broker where we can relations across the city and indeed outside the city. And that's, in my period as chair, that's what I want to continue doing, to tell the story of the strong offer that is in Plymouth. And I really want you, as I will, to enjoy the upcoming weekend and indeed the months and years to come as we go from strength to strength. Thank you very much.
This has been a Chris Summerfield media production. You can contact me at ccsPhoto12@hotmail.com or sponsor me through PayPal at christophersummerfield@gmail.com. Thanks for watching this video. It's a lifestyle thing.